Coming live from Malibu, California, USA is our guest tonight. Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And before I move forward, may I request you to subscribe, follow, like, and comment on whichever platform you are watching or listening to this show on. And today we have Janet Schmidt, creator of Reprogram for Success, Quantum Consciousness Accelerator, inspirational speaker, integrative holistic healer, and life and business coach. Welcome to the show, Janet.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. So today we'll be talking about reprogramming for success with Janet, obviously. So can you help us understand what is this reprogramming for success? You are the creator of Reprogram for Success. Can you help us understand this? And then we'll ask more questions about that.
Sure. Well, there's two sciences that dictate our reality. So there's quantum physics and epigenetics. So quantum physics says everything's energy. I mean, Einstein said everything's energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency with the reality that you wish for, and you just can't help but bring that reality to you. And that's not philosophy, that's actual physics. Now, I'll add to that the biochemical effects of our brain functioning shows that our very thoughts affect our cells. So that would say that our thoughts have energy in them. Now, epigenetics on its broader sense, so if there's any scientists out there listening, I'm talking in very broad sense, says that it is the coding or imprinting that is passed down through our ancestors down to our parents, and our parents pass it to us from the time we're born to about 8 years old. After that, it's society, it's anything catastrophic that happens to us that's going to dictate our reality in our behavior, our thoughts, our beliefs, our traditions, our very emotions. And now these two things combined will dictate your reality. And the best way I can give you an example of this is a keynote story that I call The Power of a Program, Money Consciousness. So, and it's inherited money consciousness. So there was this wonderful woman who when she was a child, always wanted to help the underdog. She believed in always helping the underserved. And as an adult, after a divorce, she found herself with a large sum of money. So she wanted to help both individuals and nonprofits alike that were servicing the underserved. Well, before long, everybody was attached to her for her money. And then she found herself in arbitration because her financial advisor had made an investment outside the scope of the firm. And now I'm going to say this was an internationally well-known firm. And he had made it. And so now she's in arbitration. And the whole time she's in arbitration, she's thinking, I'm going to lose this money. I know I'm going to lose this money. She never once thought she wasn't going to win. She always thought she was going to win, but she knew the statistics of arbitration. And so she kept going, I'm going to lose this money. Now we can say that's the quantum physics, right? She's putting energy in that thought. So she's bringing that reality to her. Well, in the end, the financial advisor got disbarred. His partner got fined. The company got fined. But sure enough, she only got 10% of what she lost. Now let's go to the epigenetics. Let's look at that because she really started examining her life. Why did this happen to me? And so the epigenetics behind that is she came from 8 generations of ministers who signed up to be economically challenged, who gave their last cents to the underserved, who had no money to manage. And whereas that was honorable for them, so she never wanted to take that away from them, but she didn't sign up for that. So now she had to untangle all of this. And it took her down a road to find the techniques. There are 4 techniques that can literally take an old belief system out and lock a new belief system in so that you're in a whole brain state. And when I say that, I mean you have a left cortex and your right cortex are in agreement on the new belief. And why do I know all this? Because that woman was me. And that's how I studied and studied and studied. I knew it had to be more than energy. And so I went into learning a little bit about how our brain works and how our subconscious and conscious mind dictate and how we can change our reality in that way.
Okay, Janet. So, in general terms, in layman terms like mine, does it mean that what we do, how we do, why we do, is all quantum physics and epigenetic working at every time?
It is. It's your program. It's your program.
Okay. So
That's what I say, your program. So the best way to do this is start examining what's working and what's not. That's the first step. The first step is to say, okay, something's not working in my money, something's not working in my relationship, something's not working here, and start really being honest with yourself. It's almost like become a student of your life.
Okay. So let's start with that. So everybody who is around us, we are around people, and the way we are doing things is because of how we have been programmed. The Almighty who has programmed us, or the hereditary traits, or whatever you can call
inherited,
it.
Inherited traits.
Yeah. There is quantum physics and epigenetic at play. So if a person is not rich, he can untangle himself from what he is, the way he has been programmed, and he can then achieve success in whatever he has been lacking.
Correct.
So how does it work? It's not like a robot or a computer, which the wires are tangled and you go and untangle them. How does that process begin? How do you begin with the process of reprogramming somebody? How do you do that? It's very interesting. Means how, without touching their wires and opening their brains, you reprogram them. Am I right?
Yes.
Or you open their brains?
No, I don't. No, I don't. But I work with them. So the first thing I do, the 4 techniques are neurolinguistic programming, theta healing, eye movement integration, or known as EMI, and Psych-K. And what I do is I first use either neurolinguistic programming or theta healing to figure out where this behavior first started. And you can go back in time, because everybody has a timeline. We all have a past and we all have the future. And so I can go into the timeline and see where it first started, and we usher that out. We usher it out, and we put in a new belief at the same time. After we usher it out, we put the new belief in, and then I come in the backside with Psych-K, which basically crosses your left brain with your right brain and brings it into a whole brain state. A lot of times why we can't achieve, like somebody could tell me they have an abundant mindset, and I could test their subconscious and find out if that's true. Now, they may totally believe that, but their subconscious doesn't. And so what Psych-K does is it basically puts in the new belief by bringing you into a whole brain state with the left and right cortex.
Okay.
And so that's one way that I do it. If it's somebody who's had a lot of trauma in their life, I will use not only theta healing or neurolinguistic programming, but I will use eye movement integration, because that technique is so great for people who have anxiety or trauma in their life, to actually desensitize them so they'll remember the trauma, but they won't have the feeling of it anymore. And that's done also by a similar way of bringing the person into a whole brain state. So I can have somebody think about the issue or the trauma and all the things that come with it. And then by just moving your fingers and having them watch your fingers in like an infinity sign or up and down and crossing, you're crossing their left cortex with the right cortex and bringing them into a whole brain state to heal. They call this the inner healer. Now, some people might say, well, why didn't it heal to begin with? Well, because your left cortex and your right cortex argue on how the healing is to be done. And in this way, they come into an agreement. And then I use Psych-K once again to usher in the new belief.
Okay, Janet. So suppose in terms of reprogramming for success, now if there are many people around me or in business environment, work environment, in home environment, now if I change or I reprogram and others don't, then how does it impact me? Means if there are violent people around me and I am a non-violent person, or I am a violent person but I reprogram for violence, non-violence, I would still be impacted by those, by those cold-hearted people around me. So how does it work? How do I achieve success?
Well, it works in two different ways. Number one is they're in your morphic field. So I often tell parents that when you start changing yourself, because you're basically changing your consciousness level, and you're expanding your consciousness level. And when you do that, you're affecting everyone around you. I think it was Tao that said the greatest gift you can give is your own self-transformation. Because when we transform ourselves, we transform the people around us. And this is what I will say about that. Either those people will transform with you and elevate with you, or some will fall away. And that's just the choice of deciding to reprogram. But with children, I've noticed from my clients that when they actually change a belief, like let's say fear, and they change the belief from fear to safety, security, and confidence, well, their own children start changing, because how could they not? They're part of their DNA. They're in their morphic field. They're in their quantum field. It's going to change. And it does.
Okay. So in terms of, tell me, is it therapy? Is it different than therapy? Is it something like therapy? What is it exactly? And please.
Okay. Well, I have a program. It's not like therapy in the fact that you go for a long period of time. This is a period of time where we address the.
I'm not able to. Okay. Uh, uh, Janet, your mic. Uh, mic.
Sorry.
Yeah. No problem.
I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. So I wanted to understand when the question that I asked, because then the mic you got muted.
Oh, when somebody comes to me, we start talking about what it is that they might want to change in their lives. What's repeating? I often ask them, how can I assist you? Because they're seeing me for a reason. And so we address the first issue. And so if the issues lack, we'll go through their timeline and we'll change that. But usually it's like peeling an onion. So people, I have people, if they want to try one just to see how it works, I've had people come to me only for abundance. And after one time, they're on their way. I've had most people come to see me for 8 times, at least 8 times, because then we're attacking every part of their life, including business. Some people come back to me for their business and we handle then their business life. But It's not like a therapist in the fact that you would go for a long period of time.
Okay. Okay. And who are your clients? What type of people are your clients like?
I have everything from individuals to moms
Okay.
to CEOs to entrepreneurs. CEOs and entrepreneurs are most of my clients. I do have some client companies where I'll go into the management team, because if you think about it, we all come from different epigenetic background. We're all programmed differently. But if you want your team focused on the same goal, you can actually with Psych-K bring them all in on the same goal without changing their epigenetic background.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
they're all focused on the same goal.
Okay. And how does it work with businesses? Why is it important for business teams to understand this concept, and how they can take it forward?
Well, the first thing I'd say is it's so important from the fact that for you just to understand that everyone on your team comes from a different epigenetic or different programming background. And
Okay.
if you can understand all of that and even understand anything catastrophic that's happened to them, you can have the emotional intelligence to create a strategy in making a cohesive team to begin with. But it's important because you can take a team that comes from all different backgrounds and get them on the top 3 or 4 goals that you have for your company. And now everybody's humming on the same goal. I mean, you can check their subconscious, conscious mind. They're all in a whole brain state on the goal. And who wouldn't want that?
Okay. Okay. So it means that, will it be better if companies, they can include uh, this particular aspect of understanding of uh, clients, not in terms of employees and everybody else, during the hiring process itself? Does it Is it a better way to think?
You could have, I'm going to say this about that. You could have somebody who has all the technique and tools that you need for a certain job in your company, and they still have gone through things. So
Okay.
it's still good to have. I'm not going to don't hire that person if they have the skills, but you don't like their their epigenetic background. I mean, they're still going to be able to do their job, but this is a way to really fine tune and get everybody on the same goal statement, the same goal. It's
Okay.
called a goal balance, to get everybody on that goal balance of the company. And so you would have to have them come in, because this is the thing. It's, as I said, I could say to you, I have an abundant mindset, and I could really believe that. But if somebody tested my subconscious, do I or don't I? Would I test strong for that, or would I test weak for that? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I could have all the skills, I could show up and I could say that to you, but there's no way you would know unless you tested their subconscious mind.
Okay, and how do you test them? Is it like a psychometric test? Something? How do you do that? Means because somebody you know, but what about somebody you don't know, and you need to know them to work in a team? So how do you know about what mindset they have?
Well, I got to say this, even the people that you know, might
Okay.
not have that, even if they're saying it. And that's my point. There's a couple techniques. One is muscle testing. Muscle testing is a very easy and fast way to figure out if somebody really, and there's several different ways to do that, to test whether their subconscious mind really believes what they're saying or doesn't believe what they're saying.
Okay. Okay. So it is possible. And how much time does it take? Why should the person cooperate with you? Because it's not acceptable, or it's like even on medical procedures, you can say no, I don't want this. But why would the person be ready to get evaluated for this sort of a stuff? Psychometric tests still are in certain situations, it's acceptable. But
Yeah.
why this sort of a thing?
Well, first of all, I'd ask somebody, why wouldn't you want success in every area of your life?
Okay.
Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want to examine yourself and really achieve what you desire. That to me doesn't make sense. So that's number one. But it is the most freeing feeling to actually achieve and to be who you wish to be, and to eliminate those things that are blocking you from achieving it.
Okay. So, in terms of work setting, we have talked. Now, in terms of our individual lives, how do we get this working in our lives? Means, I come to know that I'm full of anxiety, or I don't have an abundance mindset. How do I start? How do I come to you? How does it start working?
Well, first of all, that's the first thing. So very good. If somebody already recognizes that, that's the first step. And I'm going to tell everyone who's watching this, if you can recognize that, that's the first step. The second thing I will say to you is, if you believe strongly about something, start asking yourself why. Start asking yourself, do I believe it? Is it passed down from my parents? Is it from society? Where do I believe that? That's the first place to start. And if they're starting to recognize that, kudos to them. Bravo. But they can get hold of me through my website, which is www.janetschmidt.com. And that's the first step. And we can go from there, and we can have a discussion.
Okay. Now, there is a query from one of our viewers, is Shweta Patra. She asks that, is it something like related to astrology anywhere? That there is a prediction about who you are, how you are, or is it like, because it is physics, so it has to be real? How does it work vis-a-vis astrology?
Oh, well, you're gonna. I don't quite understand what she's asking about the question. Whether she's saying, is this who we're really meant to be in the future, or
it predicts about you, as astrology does about you as an individual.
Well, I have to say, I believe astrology is a guideline. It's not a hard line. And any astrologist will tell you that. It's kind of a guideline for us. But I'm also saying that, yes, you can change your destiny anytime you want, because we've all been given freedom of choice. So it's what you choose to develop for yourself. But to me, astrology is only a guideline.
Okay. So somebody like you, Janet, who has started, can you tell a bit more about, any specific training that people like you need? What is your background? How can people know more about that? Yes, this is a person aptly qualified, or somebody whom I can trust and take her advice, or anybody into this field.
Oh, sure. So this is the first thing. I first started out in energy healing. I started doing the laying of hands when I was 10 years old out in a field on horses. And it just came naturally to me. As through time, I became a Reiki master. I started dealing in different things and learning more about quantum physics. And then when I had this happen to me with the money, and it was inherited, money consciousness. This was where my money consciousness was, and I couldn't understand, the process with money. I started studying neurolinguistic programming. I became certified in it. I'm a neurolinguistic programming life coach. I became I'm basic and advanced Theta healing, basic and advanced Psych-K. I'm a medical intuitive. I'm certified in EMI. Every technique I've told you about, I'm certified. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. And the list goes on. I'm even certified in acupressure, kinesiology, and massage for equines and canines. So I just keep going down the list. I do DNA re-engineering. I've even been able to, I even channel to a certain extent. Everybody can channel their higher self. That's the other thing I want to say to everybody. Everyone can channel your higher self. You just have to sit down and quiet yourself enough to do it.
Okay, okay. So if somebody is into a wrong sort of a profession, or like me, a broke podcaster, you mean it is quantum physics working that instead of earning big bucks, I'm what you call doing things which are not as productive as as a businessman, like Donald Trump might be uh, doing. So how does that work? Can you explain that part? Means, isn't it what we choose, or is it what quantum physics works?
No, there's a belief system in you. There's a belief system in you.
Okay.
And it's not only a belief system, but also, somebody, I just had a client the other day, and they said, when somebody says, don't worry about the money, he said, you worry about it more. And I said, if you believe the money's coming, you never worry about it. And the best thing I give my clients to combat any negative thought is to think, isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening to me right now. You repeat that every time you think something negative is going on, and you can't keep that negativity around you. It's impossible.
Okay. Okay. So therapists say, or earlier they used to talk about, that open your heart to me or to everybody or whoever around, and then you will actually have peace in your life, and actually know about yourself. Now it's about opening your brains.
I think it's both, to be quite frank with you. If you can, and I often say to people, if you can be in a whole brain state and bring that brain down into your heart, oh, how great is that? How great is that? Because let's face it, our heart, it has more energy than our brain does. So I would have to agree with both. And the reason why I chose to also not only deal with energy because of our heart, to be honest, I also dealt with the brain too. And just for those people, if you're only going to go into one technique, I'd say go to Psych-K. And I only say that, I believe that you still should move the old belief out. But if you're only looking for one thing, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, who's well known, in the back of that book, which I think he wrote about 25 years ago, he says that Psych-K was the reason why he finished the book, why he has great relationships. He goes on to say that it is the most efficient, effective way to change a self-limiting belief into a self-enhancing belief.
Right, Janet. Interesting concept indeed, and I'm sure there is a lot of practicality around it and about it. So, Janet, how can people connect with you, contact you, and take your help if they want to know more about you? Can you give us the details about how you
Sure.
can make?
You can either write to assistant@janetelaneschmidt.com, or you can connect to me through my website. It will direct you to that email too, and that's how you can get a hold of me. And we can discuss which way you wish to go.
Right, Janet. I will also include all these details on the YouTube description so that people find it easy to connect with you directly from there if they are not able to note it down. So, with this, thank you very much, Janet, for joining us and sharing all these interesting things to us, and opening our brains to this new aspect of things that is developing, new technique, quantum physics. So it's like a quantum leap into more understanding of the human mind.
Yes.
And
yes.
yes.
But just remember, the power is in your hands. Success in every area of your life is obtainable.
Right. On this note, it's a wrap on this edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you for having me.